Have you ever had that feeling? That nagging sense that the fatigue, the aches, the inflammation you're dealing with might be connected to something, well, deeper? Today, we're going to dive into the really surprising and powerful link between our past experiences and chronic physical illness. It's a connection that might just change how you think about your health. So, get this. 100 years ago, our biggest health worries were things like infectious diseases. But today, we're facing a totally different battle. We're seeing this incredible, almost exponential explosion of autoimmune, allergic, and inflammatory conditions. And look, this isn't just a little blip on the radar. This is a full-blown modern medical puzzle. So, the big question is why, right? Why are our own bodies seemingly turning against themselves at such a crazy rate? You know, conventional medicine is often great at managing the symptoms, but it doesn't always get to the bottom of what's causing the fire in the first place. What if the key isn't just about our diet today or our genetic lottery ticket? What if the real answer is written in the chapters of our life story and experiences that we might have pushed down or even forgotten about? And, this isn't just about numbers and charts. It's about real people, real lives. The impact is just staggering. When you add up all the different autoimmune conditions, they are one of the biggest categories of chronic illness we face today, sometimes even more common than other major diseases we hear about all the time. Just check out this stat from a recent health study. They looked at over 30,000 people, and these were proactive, health-conscious folks. A shocking 30% of them had positive markers for autoimmune disease. A lot of them had no idea. It just goes to show how widespread this is, often just simmering below the surface before you ever get a diagnosis. And this quote from Dr. Sarah Gottfried, it just nails it. It perfectly captures what so many people are feeling. It's that sense of feeling prematurely old, like your body is both wired and tired at the same time. You're struggling with fatigue, brain fog, weight gain, all when you should be feeling your best. Okay, so where does this all start? Let's follow the clues, because there's one that links our biography directly to our biology. And honestly, this concept is completely changing how we understand chronic illness. It's called the ACE score. It stands for Adverse Childhood Experiences. It's basically a simple 10-question survey that was designed to measure how much adversity someone was exposed to as a kid. The higher the score, the greater the exposure. And we're not just talking about what people might think of as big T trauma here. The questions cover a whole range of experiences. Things like emotional neglect, parents divorcing, or living in a house with someone who struggled with addiction or mental illness. These things register in our nervous system, even if we don't realize it at the time. Now, this is the bombshell finding. This is what's so wild. A huge study back in 1998 found that an ACE score of just one, a single one of these adverse experiences, dramatically increases the risk for over 45 chronic diseases later in life. And we're not just talking mental health. We're talking physical diseases like heart disease, diabetes, and autoimmune conditions. Which leads us to this core idea, this powerful quote, your biography becomes your biology. The things that happen to us in our lives don't just stay in our heads as memories. They literally get written into our bodies and can create either health or disease. So how in the world does this actually happen? I mean, what's the biological bridge that connects an overwhelming experience from when you were a kid to a physical illness decades later? The key thing to understand is that trauma isn't just a story we tell ourselves. It's an experience that overwhelms our capacity to cope, and it leaves behind what you could call a trauma signature. It's an ongoing state of physical imbalance that literally lives on in the body. And this disruption happens through what scientists call the Pine Network. Think of it as the body's master communication system. It connects your mind, that's the psycho part, your immune system, your nervous system, and your hormones, or endocrine system. Trauma is like throwing a giant wrench into this delicate network. It messes up all the signals and creates chaos everywhere. So this brings us to a really fundamental difference in how medicine even tries to solve this problem. Because really, the questions you ask totally determine the answers you're going to get. So conventional medicine often asks, what disease do you have? The whole goal is to name it and then manage the symptoms. It's kind of like mopping up a floor that's flooding. But functional medicine asks a different question. Why do you have this disease? The goal there is to find the root cause, to find the overflowing faucet and turn it off. Which brings us to this great model called the three-legged stool of autoimmunity from Dr. Alessio Fasano. He says you need three things for the disease to actually show up. First, you need a genetic predisposition, the genes that make you susceptible. Second, you need intestinal permeability, or what people call leaky gut. And third, you need an environmental trigger, and that trigger could be an infection, a toxin, or, as we've been talking about, toxic stress and trauma. But here is the most hopeful, the most empowering part of this whole story. If these factors can turn the disease process on, well, that means we have the power to influence them and maybe, just maybe, reverse it. So let's look at what that healing path actually looks like. See, healing isn't about finding one magic pill. It's about a whole person, holistic approach. It starts with things like food, using an elimination diet to figure out what's causing inflammation. It means repairing the gut, getting deep restorative sleep, and using things like vitamin D to help balance the immune system. And, crucially, it means addressing the underlying trauma through embodiment practices, things like yoga or EMDR that help you release trauma that's stored in your body, not just your mind. And this is where things get really, really groundbreaking. There are emerging therapies, including things like psychedelic-assisted treatments, that are showing incredible promise. And not just for healing the mind, but for actually healing that biological trauma signature by helping the brain literally form new, healthier connections. This analogy for neuroplasticity is just perfect. Think about it. Trauma can lock our brains into these old, destructive patterns. It's like skiing down the same worn-out, icy grooves on a mountain over and over again. These new therapies are like a massive snowfall. They create fresh powder, giving us the chance to carve new, healthier paths. And look, this isn't just some theory. This is the proof of what's possible. After Dr. Sarah Gottfried applied this exact comprehensive approach to her own life, addressing her diet, her body systems, and her trauma, her autoimmune markers, which were once positive, are now negative. It shows that reversal is actually possible. So I'll just leave you with this thought. What if this journey to health isn't really about managing a lifelong condition or just silencing symptoms? What if it's about understanding your history, healing your biology, and finally giving yourself the chance to rewrite your story from the inside out?
Click the subscribe button to stay updated with VitalSpan Labs.